What up, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. This is a little bit of a different video, but let me tell you guys how this video came to be. I obviously try my very best to strive for world's best mom, world's best parent, if you will. But unfortunately, I will never, ever, ever be able to reach that title because the world's best parents already exist and they are mine. And they sent me linguiça straight from Massachusetts, and they don't even live there anymore. And I got to open a whole box of linguiça. Now, some of you may be like, Kate, what is linguiça? Because this is a very specific thing, okay? It's very similar to like a chorizo, if you've ever had a chorizo sausage. I'm originally from the Southeast Massachusetts area, and linguiça is a staple there. And I miss it. My parents found out I was jonesing for some of it, and they sent me an entire box. I have mentioned on the channel before, I do have some Portuguese heritage, okay? My dad's side of the family is from the Azores specifically, and I love Portuguese cuisine. Growing up in Southeast Massachusetts, there's a lot of Portuguese cuisine, and I absolutely love it, and I miss it so much. So I decided to make some of those recipes here today. Now, I just wanna let you know that I am not claiming to be an expert at Portuguese cuisine. Portuguese people take their cuisine very, very seriously. I'm just doing my best here with what we like and what we had on hand, okay? But we are making 3 Portuguese dishes together that I am so excited to share with you. Even if they're not made exactly like your vovô would have made it, they're delicious, I promise. If you happen to be new here, hi, how are you? How's the family? Thank you so much for clicking on that thumbnail and giving me a chance. On this channel, I do share a lot of recipe inspiration. We do a lot of shelf cooking over here, so if you need budget-friendly meals, I am your girl. I also do a lot of grocery hauls and share some tips and strategies when it comes to grocery shopping. If you end up enjoying the vibe while you're here, I would love it if you'd subscribe and join the family. Let's dive into the video. All right, friends, so we are kicking this party off right with a one-pan wanda, Arroz de Linguiça. It starts off the way every great meal does, and that's with some butter that I had melted down and added some ground linguiça to. I let the linguiça cook in that with some onion and garlic for about 6 or 7 minutes, and then I added a couple cups of white rice that I had rinsed, and I toasted that for a few minutes right in all that deliciousness before bringing in 4 cups of beef broth. I let that all come to a simmer, and then I added in some bay leaves, knowing that I'd have to go on a Coast Guard mission later for those, plus some salt, red pepper flakes, ground annatto, but you could just use regular chili powder, and paprika. Don't worry, all of the exact measurements will be in the description box, but just so you know, your girl doesn't follow exact measurements, but I have measured it in the past for this purpose. I covered that up, stirring it every 3 minutes for about 15 to 20 minutes until all that liquid got absorbed, and then I had to go on that Coast Guard grid search, and I found myself the bay leaves. I take this as an opportunity to clear out some of the produce that had been looking at me a little too long, so today I used some yellow squash and zucchini. I also brought in some frozen mixed veggies. I added some diced tomatoes and covered it again to let it all heat up. The last step is just stirring in some Parmesan cheese. John and I share our feedback on this one in a taste test, so let's see how that went. That one, I don't know. I really like this one.
You like this one?
Your chest
you like
hair.
my Fabio chest? Oh, what's up, Fabio?
Fabio over here with his chest hair. Look at you guys. Oh, I am so excited about this one. My parents.
We are so excited.
We are sorry for leaving you out, John.
That's
I didn't
right.
mean to do that.
That's right.
That was mean girl energy leaving you out like that. You can't sit with us. Listen, my mom, she sent us, well, I should say it was a partnership between her and my dad, okay? They sent us linguiça from Massachusetts in a variety of forms.
They live in Hawaii, sent us Massachusetts.
Linguiça. Yep. And I turned it into this delicious Portuguese dish over here. Similar to like a Spanish rice, kind of, but it's made with linguiça instead. You could use chorizo. I probably am repeating myself because every time, I do this every time. When I'm making the recipe, I say it. And then when we wrap it up, I'm saying it. It's fine. Everything's fine. As I was cooking this, the smells were just like taking me over in the best way.
Did you try it as you went though?
No, that's the thing.
You didn't?
Yeah. Which I have feedback on that part. Here's what's gonna happen as soon as we're done recording is I'm gonna sprinkle a little salt because it does need a little bit of salt.
A little bit.
So when I post the recipe, I'm gonna put their taste for salt and then you guys will know. But Other than that, Jonathan.
This is like chili.
It's like chili? Like, what do you mean like it's like chili but a rice dish?
Right.
Okay.
It's like one of your skillet meals.
Yes, yeah.
But okay, sorry. Let me just... Chili for me, I could sit there and just eat your entire thing of chili. This, I feel like if you filled up in a giant bowl, I would sit there.
You would just eat it for hours.
And realize what's going on. And here we are.
Yep, it's a vibe. And the other thing that I was gonna say, it's kind of like, it's almost like, it reminds me of jambalaya.
Oh yes.
If you've had jambalaya, that's what it's similar to.
You know what this would be great in?
What?
A bread bowl.
Putting rice inside a bread bowl, that's a little...
Let's go.
Let's go, he says, with like cheese all over it.
See?
Okay. I just want the cheese. I don't even need the bread bowl. I'm gonna go with a 9.
I'm going 9.5.
9.5? You went higher than me?
That is
and you're not the Portuguese one.
Just because I'm not Portuguese doesn't mean I don't like that
It's
food.
true. The red pepper flakes, I could have done more, I think. If you like spicy, you could probably do a little bit more. The spice is not too crazy.
A lot more.
Yeah, it's not, this is very mild spice. If you like a mild salsa, you'd be fine.
If you didn't tell me there was red pepper, I would have never.
Really? Well, I spilt it all over the ground for you, so... John does the cleanup after. I spilled red pepper flake everywhere, you guys. Everywhere. And yeah, I cleaned up the rest of the kitchen. I'm really good about that, but you know, we're just gonna have to clean the floors because it's that bad. Overall, I think that's fantastic. And I think it's, if you wanna mix it up and you wanna represent your girl Kate over here with the Portuguese dish.
That's right.
That's one to go with. And that's it. We're gonna get that feedback over to corporate. You guys are diving into the next recipe. This next one is probably one of my absolute favorites. It's a major comfort meal for me. Portuguese kale soup, also known as Caldo Verde. I will say, this is a dish that people take incredibly seriously, and there are arguments out there on how to do it right. But I truly think that most of our vovós, which is grandma in Portuguese, would cook with their heart and add what they knew they and their family loved. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm also in love with my crock pot. That's a proud member of our family, so I cook it in there. This is a super straightforward dump and go crock pot soup. The full recipe will be below, but you start off with whatever your favorite broth is. I think I used beef when I made it this time, but in the past I've used chicken, turkey, veggie. And I always like to immediately get the crock pot on high with that beef broth and add the potatoes first because those are the ones we want to get nice and tender. Then we add some onion, bell pepper, linguiça, but you could use chorizo, ham hock, garbanzo beans, baby carrots, garlic, and lots of seasonings. I went all over the place this time with some Italian blends, paprika, a few more bay leaves, cumin, red pepper flakes. I also like to use white pepper when I make this instead of black pepper, and of course salt. This cooks on low for 4 to 5 hours, and then you head out on another Coast Guard mission getting the bay leaves. All 3 of my targets this time were pretty easy to find. I also got out the ham hocks at this point and set them to the side to let them cool down for a few minutes. And I also added a few hefty handfuls of kale to wilt down. So kale gets added just like a half hour before you're gonna serve. I totally forgot to film it so you don't see it happen, but you can see it in the hot tub so you know I did it. Once the ham had cooled down, I diced the good meat off of that bone and added that right back into the soup. And then I just kept it on low and I let it cruise for another 30 minutes before serving. This recipe makes such a generous amount that you could share it with people you love, or it also freezes absolutely beautifully. So don't be intimidated by how much you see, because you can easily freeze this for yourself and bring it out later when you need a quick meal. To go along with the Portuguese kale soup, I made some Papo Secos. These are a Portuguese bakery staple and shockingly easy to make at home. I started off getting the yeast bubbling by adding 2 1/4 teaspoon of it to 1 1/4 cup of warm water, which is about 110 degrees, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. The brown sugar was purely because I had ran out of granulated sugar, but I honestly think it was a vibe. I have made these twice since filming this, and I just went with the brown sugar because it turned out really good. I set that yeast mixture on the counter to foam up and then mixed together some dry ingredients, which was just 4 cups of bread flour and 2 teaspoons of salt. I have also made this where I split all-purpose flour and bread flour, or done all-purpose flour, so just go with what you have on hand, but I will say bread flour is my preferred method. Once the yeast was ready, I streamed that into the dry ingredients in my stand mixer with a dough hook and also added 3 tablespoons of avocado oil. I let the stand mixer do its thing until it was a nice elasticy style dough, and then I sprayed the bowl with some oil, covered it for about an hour to let it rise. Once it had doubled in size, I rolled it out into a long log, and then I used a pizza cutter to get my best estimate of 12 even pieces. I floured a silicone mat for myself to work on and used a rolling pin to make an oval. I rolled it into itself and then just lightly tucked the sides under. I put it seam side down on the baking sheet with the silicone mat. Once I had all 12 done, I just lightly dusted them with a little flour, and I floured a metal straw for myself, but you could use a dowel or a chopstick, and I used that straw to make a lengthwise split in the center of each. I covered them again and let them rise for another 30 to 45 minutes. At this point, you can check and see if the split seems deep enough depending on how much they rise, and if you need to do it one more time. I've had a few times where I don't need to do it, and others where a little extra encouragement was needed. I then preheated the oven to 425 degrees and put a second empty baking sheet on the bottom. Once it was preheated, I poured about a cup of hot water into that to allow some steam while these cook. I added our tray right in there and allowed those to cook in the tanning bed for about 15 minutes. Now, the next step is not traditional, but I do brush mine with a little melted butter because we like them to be on the softer side. These are perfect to have with the soup we made, but we also use them the following day for breakfast sandwiches. If there is one thing you walk away from with this video, I truly hope it is that you know you can create delicious bakery-style breads in your own home. I promise, if I can, you absolutely can. All right, you guys, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. It means the absolute world to me. I hope I did justice to the beautiful Portuguese cuisine that there is out there. Based on the feedback from my family, it went really well. So hopefully you'll find a recipe that you love and you can walk away with. I hope I delivered whatever you needed when you clicked on that thumbnail, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye.